Hello and welcome to MRD Chatroom. My name is Shernell Marshall, and today is the first in our discussion series on social media, toxic or transformational. And with us today to talk about this topic is the organization Echo Nation. Echo Nation is a registered charity, number 1429, and they are a social transformation movement building awareness about negative influences in music, the internet, social media, and their addictions, and how these impact youth, mental health, spiritual health, behavior, culture, families, and communities. And from that organization to talk with us today is the co-founder and program coordinator, Arnal Goslin. Welcome, Arnal.
It's great to be here. Thank you very much.
So, that was just a little bit about Echo Nation. Can you tell us a bit more about your organization?
All right. We are passionate about young people. We are passionate about youth. We are passionate about technology. We are passionate about the arts. And our mission is really to see a future, our vision is to see a future where youth and families are educated, equipped, and empowered to engage in these mediums safely, confidently, and positively for their future benefit. So our mission as an organization is change the culture, change the future.
Interesting. So, what exactly do you do as program coordinator for this organization?
Well, basically, I'm responsible for setting up all the campaigns that would engage in terms of education and equipment and so on. So we have three major campaigns currently that we have going. We have our Echo Wise campaign, which basically reaches out to family and young people. We are in schools, we go into communities, we go into churches, organizations, talking about social media, the internet, and the power of music and how that impacts mental health and the behavior of young people. So that is more like a teaching type campaign or educational campaign. We also have our Pure Music campaign. Our Pure Music campaign is more about creating spaces where young people, especially in families, wholesome family spaces where they can enjoy arts and entertainment in a wholesome way. We promote positive music, we promote wholesome music, pure music we call it in that campaign. So we have things like events that we would do. And then finally we have our Caribbean Echo arm. That arm is more to deal with educating artists and cultural practitioners about how to use the arts to bring about social transformation in communities. So we do conferences and seminars with them and then create outlets for them to engage in communities, whether locally or regionally or internationally. We connect them with organizations that we could use their arts and get them exposure towards a social transformation cause.
So, I heard you say you were passionate about the youth, and then you talked about all these activities that you do involving youth. But really, what is the reason behind this organization? Why did you feel the need to start such an organization?
I have been involved in technology for over 20 years. I've also been involved in music for over 20 years. I'm a reggae artist. I work with youth for over 20 years. So it came out of recognizing what is happening in society and how these things are impacting the mental health. So I realized that if we allow what I would call the moral slide that is being promoted in these mediums to continue without equipping our young people, without educating them, and not only our young people, our parents as well, if we don't equip them and educate them, we can end up with a future where our young people are, kind of, for lack of a better word, are foreign to us. And being cultured with different things, different messages, negative messages especially, that do not really relate to our culture, to our society, and what we want for their future.
Okay, interesting and somewhat controversial, but we'll leave that for today. So we will get into today's discussion topic, which, as I mentioned earlier, is social media, toxic or transformational. So first, I'm going to ask you, what is social media?
All right, social media are websites and applications that facilitate the creation and sharing of information, ideas, interests, and other forms of expression via virtual communities and networks. So that's basically it in a nutshell what social media is. It allows us to communicate and share and express ideas.
Okay, so is this thing called social media then here to stay?
Um, I would say yes. Social media is here to stay, especially with over the last 2 years, we've recognized there's a heavy dependence on digital media, which basically is images, anything that's provided over the internet, rich entertainment. You have video, images, text, all these things, devices that we use today. And we see that now we have been more a digital community. So it's not that we are just normal citizens anymore. We have become digital citizens. So from the time you have an email address, from the time you have a social media account, you are in essence a digital citizen. And therefore you leave a digital footprint. And one of our beliefs, and it is proven, that what you do in your digital world can heavily impact your real world. There are over 3.5 billion people connected to the internet, over 22 billion devices there as well. So everybody's connected, everybody's engaged in some form or fashion. We're doing online school, we're doing purchases online. So I think that this medium, social media, is now almost like a way of life for us. We as human beings, we need to connect, and this is just one of those tools that we use to connect.
Okay, just for clarity's sake, you mentioned digital citizen, and I have some idea of what you mean. But just in case someone out there listening is not quite sure what you mean, can you break that down a bit more for us? What is a digital citizen?
Digital citizenship is more the look at how you interact with digital technologies, and you want to be safe, and just like how you want to be a good natural citizen, and there are rules and there are laws and there are ways that you should operate and there are ethics and so on. In the digital world, you have the same thing. There are rules, there are laws, there are ethics. So good digital citizenship is all about being safe, confident, and positive with your interaction with digital technologies. And when we talk about this, we usually relate to the 3 C's of digital citizenship. That is, 1, contact. Who are the persons that you're contacting online, who you're communicating with online? We talk about conduct. How are you carrying yourself? What type of information are you sharing, whether intentionally or unintentionally? And then we talk about content. What are the things that you are consuming online? Is it inappropriate content? Is it appropriate for your age? And what are the type of content that you're creating as well? So all these form part of your digital citizenship.
So basically, if I am engaging in anything on the online device, that makes me a digital citizen, you're saying?
Yes, I would say once you have a profile, any type of profile that ties you to any type of interaction online, you have digital citizenship.
So even an email address?
Even an email address, because as I said before, you have to realize that what you do in the digital world could heavily impact your real world. We know that your relationships, if you talk to young people today, a lot of things that they may use today, you left me undelivered, you left me unseen, you ghosted me. All these are things that relate to how we communicate online. So that's relationships, or image or character, the things that you say, you comment on online can impact that. Your reputation, even in terms of getting a career. Bosses know today, they go and check your social media profiles and see what you've been doing. They do background checks on you to determine if you are the type of person that they want to hire. Colleges and universities do the same thing. I believe also some embassies do it. When you are applying for visas, they do background checks on you. And then obviously we have the Computer Misuse Act that deals with how we ought to conduct ourselves online. And if you violate that act, there's a fine. There are fines that you can be faced with, or even imprisonment. So all these things are necessary, not just for parents, but for children to understand when they interact with digital technologies.
I now have a full picture on what a digital citizen is. And because it was a little bit hazy at first, but now I'm getting the picture because I'm seeing myself, as you just said, a natural citizen, and how we have dual citizenship in our one country, in our one nation, and how we can be one person online and we can be someone totally different in person. So that's interesting to note. So how is this rapidly changing phenomenon affecting, or is it affecting our youth?
Yes, I would say there have been a lot of studies that looked at what distinguishes the generation that's coming up in the digital world today. And there are several interesting things that are being said about the generation that is coming up right now, the generation that have basically been raised in a digital world. The first thing is said is that they're materially endowed, and they have more than previous generations, if you want to call it that. And if you look at the average household today, many of them may have multiple devices. Everybody has a smartphone. Everyone has probably a tablet. Every house has a tablet, a laptop of some kind. And they have a lot of these things. And as I told you, we've been conducting several campaigns within schools. So we have right now a school curriculum. And what I tell you today is not just based on what the research says, but is what we have been, as we've been interacting with students, hundreds of students throughout our campaigns, we've been getting feedback on them. So I said they're materially endowed. It's digital from birth. They're digital from birth. So some of you who might be listening, you realize that your 2-3-year-old all of a sudden, it's like you didn't have to teach them to use the tablet. They can access certain things online without knowing how to talk, without knowing how to type, knowing how to spell. I remember I had my daughter. My daughter could not spell as yet. She couldn't read or spell as yet. But she was able to access certain videos that she wanted to watch. So I was like, show me how you are doing this. And she said, all you have to do, Daddy, is press the mic, say what you want, and they would interpret it for you. And then you go, you hit search. So it's like if they have a sixth sense, before they could say mama or dada, they know how to swipe left and interact with these digital technologies. It is also said, 3, that they are entertainment addicts. What that basically means that they would sit down and binge watch their favorite program. I know some of the adults probably could relate to this
you're
as
guilty.
well. Yeah. We would, rather than years ago where we would have to wait for a whole week to see the next episode, today we would sit down and watch a whole season in about 2-3 days, right? We binge watch our favorite shows or games, our favorite games. It is said that they are all about speed, speed, speed. They have short attention spans. The first thing, for instance, when they go someplace, the first thing they will ask for is, what's the Wi-Fi password? You know, these are all things. You grew up in the era of microwaves. They can't wait to a video download, high-speed internet. Everything is there, accessible to them for that. Whereas years ago, you had to go in the library, wait for someone down with the book, check an encyclopedia, sit down for a whole day at the library just to research certain things. All right. It is said 5 that they're globally aware. And with the internet, obviously, the World Wide Web, we are all connected. We are all receiving information. Actually, I think most of us probably know, maybe taking in more of our news from social media than from traditional platforms like the paper or even TV. All right. Social media has really consumed us in terms of this global awareness. And it said that they're microminers, which is 6. You have to break down information in bite-sized pieces for them. So you have to be very specific with your instructions. If not, sometimes they don't know what to do, or they take the liberty of doing what they feel like. So my daughter, she's running through the house, and I say to her, stop running. You will automatically think that evaluate, it means please walk. But for them, start running means don't run. I could skip. I could walk faster. I could do all these things to get what I want. All right. So you have to break down information in bite-sized pieces. If you guys agree with this, you can let us know. 7, it says that they want to be heard. This is a generation that want to be heard. Obviously, with social media and all these different technologies, there's so many ways to express yourself. There's so many ways to share about you. So this is a generation that does not want to be just in the background. They want to share. That's why you will see that they ask the question why. A lot of you parents may be wondering, well, you asking things that I could never ask back in my day. But this is the era of so much information, and I think it is good that they're asking why. They want to learn, and they want to contribute. And then finally, it said that they're mostly connected and shaped by their peers. And obviously, as human beings, we are social beings. We all want to feel a part of a social group or a part of a society. Social media also brings that. You want to be a part of the social group that is online. And a lot of what persons do on those platforms, and just like in the real world, we don't want to feel left out. It is this whole fear of missing out, FOMO, that they talk about all the time. So these are the things that we see happening because of digital technologies and how it's really characterizing our youth today.
So you mentioned the last one about FOMO. So do you feel that young people feel compelled to use social media then?
They would say that. There's some young people, well, actually, it's more middle ground. Because when we do ask this question in our classes, some people say yes, some people say no. So I would say it's more middle ground. But the more you talk with them, it's natural for them. You use social media they want to use social media to talk and connect with their friends. And obviously, especially with COVID, social media has become one of the primary ways of communicating and engaging. They would want to use social media and these digital devices because their friends are there. We said that they're mostly connected and shaped by their peers. So if my peers are using a particular platform or have a particular device, I want to be a part of that. I don't want to miss out on that. A lot of them said that they feel compelled to use it because they're just plain bored, you know. Remember we talked about the whole entertainment addicts thing. So school may not be as engaging for them, some would say, or there are a lot of things for them to do, so they go on social media. They're bored, so this is what they do. Obviously, for general knowledge, for news, education, they follow their favorite celebrities. They may follow fashion, their interests. So there's another reason why they go there for extracurricular activities like sports. You're following that. As you know now, we're using social media in the form of like Google Meets and those things, Zoom, to do schoolwork, to do education. As I mentioned, also to express themselves, their views, their activities, their character, their image. And then in some cases, they use it simply because, for lack of a better word, they are simply addicted. It is as a norm, is a behavioral practice for them. The first thing they do when they get up, or the last thing they do at night. So it's a habit. So those are some of the main reasons why young people say they are compelled to use social media.
Well, we just talked about social media being a whole wide range of things. But what are some of these social media apps that our children are using?
It varies. I can't say I know all of them, but the main ones are obviously Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, WhatsApp. You have Discord as well. There's Facebook to a lesser extent. They would probably say Facebook is archaic. That's for the older folk.
Yes, I've heard that.
You have YouTube, obviously, that they would use. Twitter to a lesser extent as well. And then there's some other things. We must not ignore a lot of the gaming platforms today have social media features engaged in them, where you could connect with someone via chatting or via text messaging or whatever within the gaming environment. So that is, I would consider those type of gaming platforms some aspect of social media as well, because you're still being able to share and express. All right, so those are the main ones that we have feedback on in terms of young people.
And I'm glad you brought up that last point about gaming, because I know I'm dating myself now, but years ago, I remember my son having conversation with my nephew, and I was wondering, how are you doing this? And it was on a gaming device. So I am not sure that parents are aware that gaming devices can be used as social media as well, because they might think, oh, my child is 7 years old or 8, he or she does not have a social media account. But you're saying to me that the gaming devices as well. So That's interesting that you should note that, parents, that your gaming devices can be social media
It can be used to share
devices.
and so
Okay,
on.
interesting. So tell me, then, after hearing all this, is social media what are you value the most?
Um, that's a very interesting question, and it's a question that we try always, whenever we go into our sessions with our young people, to ask them what is it that they value the most. We have what we call the spheres of influence in society, and I'm just going to list them for you. We have family and friends. We ask them about family and friends, religion. Is it education? Is it government? Is it environment? Is it economics, things like business and commerce? Is it arts and expression, which would include like sports and entertainment, music and those things? Or is it internet and media? So we have those 8 spheres, and we ask young people which of these do they value the most, the top 3 that they value the most. And based on, we've been doing this for over 2-3 years now. And the top 4, so you normally will have a juggle between this, will be education. You would have arts and expression, or music and entertainment. You would have internet and social media, and you have family and friends. But the one thing that young people, from all research, the one thing that they value above everything else we see here is family and friends. They value their relationships, and which comes back to what we said. They're mainly connected and shaped by their peers, but they value their family as well. I think when we talk to young people, they will say that they use their devices because of boredom or because they're not getting the attention that they're seeking at home sometimes. And my parents don't pay attention to me, or ain't nothing to do really. Nobody don't want to do anything with me, so I just go on social media. All right? And a lot of times we may look at the amount of time that they spend there, and they said that they spend hours a day on social media. And we say, oh, that's because they just caught up to their devices. Sometimes it's just simply because they don't have the attention to really work with what they value the most, which is their family and their friends. And that's what our young people are saying today.
So I want to thank you very much for everything that you've shared so far with us in this series. It's been a lot to digest. And for me, my takeaway today would be that we're digital citizens. Digital citizens.
Try saying it 3 times quickly.
Digital citizens. Quickly, you said. That's as quick as I can go without biting my tongue. So I'll just stick with 1. We are digital citizens, and that's important to remember. And out of that, that it's not only that social media might not only be the form of TikTok and Discord when you're of age to have these accounts, but you can also be chatting via your gaming devices as well. But most importantly is that children value their friends and family most. So even above this thing that we think they spend so much time on, what they really crave is still the natural citizen. So not so much the digital citizen,
yeah.
but that natural citizen. So parents spending time with your children, I'm going to tell you, is most important. Do not replace yourself, your parenting, with devices. I know we have work and we have this, and we're trying to earn a living, and we're cooking, and we're doing all these things. But carve time out of your day will be my takeaway for your kids. Is that what you're saying to us, basically?
Yes, and I want to also add the importance of recognizing how serious we must take digital citizenship. As I said, we are in a digital world. So if we don't have supervision, or if you're not monitoring, if you're not educating our children on how to be safe and how to use these digital technologies, we would have a situation where the things that they do know could rob them of a positive future, could rob them of several things. I'm constantly hearing situations where even students who are, per se, honor roll students cannot get the opportunities that they want simply because of bad choices on digital devices, all right? So it's also important, along with that, sorry, that we recognize the importance of looking at what is my child's digital citizenship? What is it that they're doing? Are they being safe? Are they being positive? Are they being confident in their interaction with digital technology?
So we would call it like a digital footprint then, would we?
It's more than just digital
No
footprint.
footprint.
That is a part of it, but it's more than just digital footprint. Is a
Whole lot more that we'll get into as
Yes.
we go into the series. So I want to thank you for joining us today, and we want to tune in next time as we continue on this very interesting topic of whether social media is toxic or transformational. And next time specifically we'll be looking at brain activity and social media, and
social media addiction.
social media addiction.
Yeah.
Is it intentional? Until next time.
Right.